Close Friends List podcast, hosted by me, Maddie Anderson. On this podcast, we talk about all things like dating, funny stories, things going on in the world, pop culture, honestly, whatever I would talk about with my close friends. Let's add you to my close friends list. Hey everyone, before we get into today's episode, I just wanted to record what would it be called? An intro. An intro. This is what I do every week. I record an intro. Because I'm going to have a conversation with my friend, Jaqui. And I'm so excited for you guys to meet her on the podcast. And I wanted to do an intro because we didn't do that great of a one. We just kind of jumped right into the conversation. And we kind of talk randomly all over the place. So Jaqui is one of my best friends. She and I are coworkers. That's kind of how we met. And so I wanted to do this intro to kind of say, if you hear people's names pop up and we don't give a backstory, or you're like, who did they just mention? Like, who are they? Just know they're a coworker. And their backstory doesn't matter. So that's why we don't go into it. So no, I mean, their backstory matters. It just doesn't matter to this episode. So if you hear random names pop up, it's just because they're a coworker, and Jaqui and I, we just kind of sat on my couch and talked. That's how we did this episode. So I just wanted to start off with that. And I'm really excited for you guys to hear our conversation. We have a conversation about Jacqui's life. I just kind of interviewed her. And then we also talked about issues of racism and Black Lives Matter movement. And I'm really excited to finally have this conversation. And I kind of get into why I haven't done it yet and why I wanted Jaqui to come on to talk about it. So I'm really excited for that. And one last thing before we get today's episode started is I just really feel like I needed to put this out there that I am heartbroken and just wanted to share my love and support for the Asian community, because I know that they have been really affected this past year, and especially this past week. There was a major tragedy, an attack on the Asian American community in Atlanta. And it was just obviously a very tough story to hear. It hasn't really been labeled as like a racist attack, but that's what it was. And so I'm just like really disappointed, like in the media. I'm really disappointed that this happened. And I just wanted to show my love and support for you guys. And we will talk about these things. And I think they're important conversations to have. And just another little PSA out there is to check in on your friends. And Jaqui and I talk about this, how like, you know, these issues can seem so big and like so out of our hands, out of our control. But something that's in our control is checking in on our friends who would be directly affected. So I would just encourage everybody to do that this week. If you have friends that you think would be affected by things that are going on, even just like mentally, you know, they didn't have to know somebody that passed away in that tragedy. You know, they can be affected mentally and just throughout their day. And so just checking in on friends is super important. So, yeah. And I just, every day for myself, like I want to become a better ally. I want to become a better supportive friend, a better person, and somebody who loves people of all communities. And so, yeah. Anyway, just wanted to start off with that, showing love and support for you guys. And I'm so excited for you to hear this conversation I have with Miss Jaqui. Here we go. Okay, I'm about to start recording. Okay. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Close Friends List podcast. I'm finally here with my friend Jaqui. Woohoo!
Hey, what's up, y'all? You know, it's your girl Jaqui. I'm out here in the streets.
We were just talking about, we took a shot and some White Claw before this, so we're feeling it a little bit.
We're feeling it. You know, I was a little nervous because I'm always the type of person who needs to be formal with everything that I do.
Yeah.
So I was like, Maddie, let me just take a shot right now.
So I'm a little unformal.
Which is good because you get the real me, the real truth, and the real tea. And I'm here for it.
Yes, I'm so excited. So I'm excited to have Jaqui on because Jackie's one of my close friends. We met at my brother's graduation party.
Wait.
We should talk about that, how we met.
Backstory, actually. I went with my friend Tori, from who I met at church. And she was like, hey, what are you doing today? I was like, oh, nothing. I was probably just going to sleep on your bed, to be honest, and take a nap. Yeah. She's like, actually, my friend Connor is having a graduation party. I was like, oh. And she's like, do you know Connor? I was like, no, not at all. And she's like, it's okay. You just come along anyways because, you know, as Christ followers, we're all nice and friendly and whatever. And so it's like, okay, let's go. And so we went. And that's literally how I met Maddie. I just went into a stranger's house. And I was like, this chick looks super cool. Let me talk to her. Let me chat it up with her, which honestly, that was such a fun conversation. And through that, she told me about this job she got, and the rest is kind of history. I applied, and we just became the duo. Yes. Okay. I don't care what y'all say out there. For everyone who's listening, who works with us, who thinks they're the duo, let me be straight, you're wrong.
John and Nima, take a seat.
Take a seat.
JJ and Joette can take a seat.
I know you're married, and we love that for you, but me and Maddie are the real duo, okay? We're making it public now if you haven't known.
I'm so dead.
But yeah, that's how we met. Our love story.
Yes. You know, it's so funny. When I met you at Connor's graduation party, I was like, why has Connor been hiding this person from me? I was like, why has he not invited her over more? Like, I'm so mad right now. Yeah. And then you were like, I actually don't know him.
But like, if that doesn't speak volumes about me, I will just go to a stranger's house because all I hear is free food, good company. Emphasize on the free food. But honestly,
and you were like, maybe there'll be drinking, maybe not. I don't know what kind of party
I knew it wasn't because I know the people who I was hanging out with, and I knew that would not happen. Yeah. But honestly, like, life is just so funny how it works.
Yeah. Like, what are the chances that we met there, and then that's how we became coworkers?
Exactly.
Like, it blows my mind sometimes.
But also through our workplace, we became closer because of that.
Yeah, exactly. We've had so many
conversations, like, so many adventures, so many stories,
so many ratchet work parties.
Like, you know how workplace you have to be professional, which, okay, I'm going to say this. We are professional. But
I'm like, I didn't really know if I would say that. Literally, I know that I was like, okay, this is funny. One of our old coworkers, Jackson, he left us, and when he left
R.I.P.
us, I was technically his manager, so they called me for a reference, and I was like, oh no. Please do not call me.
What type of reference you talking?
Yeah. So then I talked with them, and they were like, on a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate Jackson's professionalism? And I was like, honestly, we do not work in a professional environment. Yeah. I'm like, you don't want to hire Jackson. Let me just tell you that right now. Anyone I've worked with, they probably should not move on to a higher professional job. Just stay in your lane.
To be honest, I love, even though obviously everything comes with risk and reward, ups and downs, whatever, but I can honestly say, like, our job is so fun. We have this like family unit where it's like you're so relaxed to show your true colors. Yeah. And like, shout out to the management team, Maddie, Alex, Joette, and JJ, because like, honestly,
sometimes I'm shocked at our management. I look at the four of us and I'm shocked.
But like, to be honest, shout out to you guys, because you guys make it so comfortable for us. She said, "Oh, thank you."
Thank you.
She's like, Jackie, you're going too professional for me. But honestly, like, I've learned the leadership team creates the environment. So if you're gonna make a hostile environment, you're gonna get hostile results from your employers. Yes. But if you make it so loving and warm where we can feel comfortable, but some of us a little too comfortable to be who we are.
Are you talking about me?
No, just kidding. They know who they are.
No, just kidding.
But like, no, but on a serious note, like, you make it so comfortable to be, like, for us to be who we are, which it allows us to grow and succeed in the workplace. You know what I mean? We're laughing because some of us are a little too comfortable.
I'm dying. It's so true. You know what I loved about when I first started working for JJ and Joette, I worked at their house for a while.
Yeah.
And for a long time, it was just me, and then a few other people came on. Joette would do like all this. She would talk to me about all this research that she did on like what good work environments looked like. And she was like, the top employer in the U.S. like takes good care of their employees because that will trickle down into the success of your business.
100%.
And that is just a work environment that I haven't been in a really long time. And so honestly, like,
but now we have standards because of what they said.
Yeah, exactly. But I think it would be so cool to be in a position where I could like work with companies to make their work environments better, because I see now like how important that is.
Yeah.
And what was the other thing? Oh, yeah. I will never forget this quote that I saw where it was like, people don't leave jobs, they leave bad bosses.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah. I'm like, it's all about who's in management.
Exactly.
At any workplace.
Oh, I can say from my own experience, like every job that I left, it was because of bosses.
Yeah.
Because of how I felt like I was being treated. Like, of course I'm there to work. Of course I'm there for a certain purpose. But if you're going to make my life a living hell, I'm sorry. I'm a good person. I don't deserve to be there.
No, not at all.
You know what I mean? And I'm like, yeah. And I think shout out to JJ and Joette for making that environment not just comfortable and feel good, but honestly like a family. Like I could say when I do leave, that I have come out with great friends who I can call on, who I can rely on, who I can lean on. And I think that's just such a blessing in disguise that I will always take for me. Yeah. This is when the tipsiness comes in, guys. Like literally forever and ever and ever. So
yeah.
Oh, love Goldfish.
I love that we just spent so much time working and talking about our work.
We're like, hey,
I'm like, I can't.
If you want to apply.
I always go, I can't escape this place. I just even eating goldfish crackers.
Literally.
I'm like, I literally can't escape.
Shout out to Goldfish. Not our job, even though I love y'all, but like Goldfish is just so good. You know, the goldfish
crackers.
I'm eating Parmesan right now to like calm it down because guys, I haven't eaten today. But hey, that's just a side note. But yeah, so that's where we met. I went to a stranger's home and I came out with basically family. My sister, Maddie. Oh,
I love
and
you.
I literally love it. And honestly, I look back and I say how crazy. It's almost been 2 years.
Yeah.
Isn't that so
wild? That is crazy. Yeah,
2
that
years.
is a long time.
I know. COVID made it obviously go by faster or slower.
Totally.
However you'd like to take it.
Yeah.
But honestly, that like quarantine was just slow and fast all at the same time.
Oh my gosh.
But like honestly, it's just like such favor on us to be able to just find the relationships that we have right now. Even though a lot of them, shout out to you guys, you drive me crazy. It's okay.
You're talking to Nima and I know it. Just kidding. I love that my last memories of pre-quarantine were with you. The first one was the last time I ever went out was for your birthday.
Can we talk?
that shit was so ratchet.
But like that's exactly what I wanted.
Yeah.
Like if I was to describe me in 3 words, I would say loud, ratchet, and loving.
Yes.
Who needs to be all put together all the time?
Yeah,
like it's just ingrained in my DNA. I'm a black woman. But I mean, other people can't say this about me. I can say this about myself. Yeah. But I love being ratchet. Like I just feel like, and if other people can enjoy that experience with me, then it makes it even 10 times better.
So fun. What does ratchet mean to you, Jackie?
Ratchet? You know what? Honestly, I've never had anybody ask me that.
Wow. I'm just asking the hard-hitted questions on this podcast.
Not gonna go deep in thought. Okay, ratchet means to me is just living your best life, to be honest, and not caring what people think about your actions. You know what I mean? And I feel like living ratchet, you can literally, it's freedom. You know? It's like when you're taking your bra off after a long day, and you're like, oh my God, I'm free. That's how I feel ratchet feels. You know what I mean?
That's such a great way. What a great analogy. It's like taking your bra off equals being ratchet. Yeah,
exactly. And I just feel like when you allow to be ratchet, what I always tell Nima and Tavi all the time, and they could attest to this, is that, you know, living judgment free from other people. Are they paying your bills? No. Did they give you the breath in your lungs? No. Then why should I care? If I'm not personally affecting people in a harmful way, which if I am, they'll tell me, and then I'll apologize. But till then, I'm going to live me, do me, be me. Okay?
I love it. Yes. I love that.
That's what I think ratchet means to me. And I mean, everybody has their own definition, but honestly, I think what everybody could all say is that it's just that freedom of just being able to be your true self without any cap on what society tells you, what your parents raised to tell you, or anything like that. You're just your authentic self. But honestly, also, don't be harming people in the process. I'm not okay. There's limitations, but at the same time, it's just like living your best life, basically.
Yeah. I love it, and I experienced the ratchetness on your birthday. Because that club was something else. Okay, so on Jackie's birthday, you rented out a table at a club.
Oh, yes,
which at first I was like, damn, Jackie coming through with the money? I was like, does our boss pay us this much? I was like, I don't think our boss pays us that much.
Shout out to Goldfish
I was like,
Redman.
is there inequality here? Because what? I was shocked.
But I overhyped it. I'm not gonna lie.
But then I showed up to the wrong club at first, because there's this place called X Stadium, and then there was Stage, right?
Yeah.
And I was drunk when I got there. So I went into X Stadium, and when I was looking for you, that's a really nice club in Seattle. So I was shook to my core. I was like, there's no fucking way that they're here.
Which I wish I knew about that, because then I would have switched. But you know what? We did what we did.
Yes. And then I finally got a hold of you, and you were like, no, Stage. I was like, oh. And it was 2 blocks away, so I had to like run through Pioneer Square, which is like
in
a really
heels?
Yeah, which is like a really dangerous area in Seattle. 100%. And I was literally running because I was scared. So I was just like, please, like,
the
get
adrenaline
there.
went in, huh?
Yeah. And that night, this is so funny. Right before I left, I took several shots because I wanted to, go into every club environment a little drunk. And when I took my shots, I took my birth control, like, with it.
Uh-huh. Guys, I don't even know this song. As you're listening, I'm listening to for the first time.
Yeah. And I, like, posted it on my Snapchat, and everyone was like, yo. I was like, here's my birth control, drop in tequila, and took it.
It's the drop for me, folks.
And then I put a condom in my pocket, and like when I went there was all these like I used to go to the church that Jackie was a part of. Are you still a part of it?
Yeah, I'm still a part of it.
Okay, yeah, that you're part of. But all these like other church people were there, and like somebody was like, is there a condom in your pocket? And I was like, yeah, and I literally don't know why I brought it, because I thought I was going to meet someone that night. No. But anyway, so we went there, and it was like in a basement.
Basically, guys, so when I planned all of this earlier, maybe like a month earlier during New Year's, around that time, I was invited to a birthday party of a friend of a friend's, basically, and we went to Stage, and it was such an experience. Like, I've been clubbing before, but like that was like so much fun that I really literally wanted to redo the experience. Didn't know that it wouldn't be the same experience because there wasn't a lot of people,
but so we had
so much fun. Like, to be honest, I could sit here and say one of my best birthday experiences. The last
Me too, and it wasn't my birthday.
But like, that's what I wanted, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the last best experience I had on my birthday when I was 11, and we rented out the bowling alley. But so that was like a 10-year difference. Like, I took L's throughout the whole a decade of L's, basically. But like, my last birthday, I literally had friends from different areas and different timeline moments of my life. And those people were, I could say, the closest people to me at the time, as well as like throughout time in a way. And honestly, the personalities, guys, I'm sorry. The personalities just fit so well together. And honestly, I could say, yeah, there wasn't a lot of people, but honestly, like the people I picked, I knew were life of the parties. You know what I mean? So I knew that everything would just like work out, even though I was like so nervous. I was like, oh, there's not a lot of people here, whatever. Because like as a host, that's how you feel. You're like, you have all the guilt of like, oh, is this fun for people, or is everyone okay? Is everyone having fun?
Yeah.
But honestly, I got to that point and I was like, you know what? I need to really enjoy this moment with some of the closest people with me right now and just like have fun and let loose. And from that moment when I decided to do that, like everything just kind of like was all kind of like fell into place. Yeah. Which I loved.
It was so fun.
Like so fun. Remember the Maddie has the Snapchat of me? Because guys, girls will understand. You're wearing heels. You look cute. You took the Instagram pictures, right?
Yes.
But sis, you get to the moment on the dance floor. I wanted to let loose, be free, as I would say, ratchet. Yes. And I did this perfectly. And so I was like smart enough to bring backup shoes because let's be honest.
They were black Vans.
They were black. No, not even black Vans. They were fake Vans. But anyways, I was smart enough to bring backup shoes because I knew that I wanted to shake my little booty off and I would not be able to do it 100% with wearing heels.
No, absolutely not. Honestly, this is something we need to normalize in the clubs once they come back.
Exactly.
Normalize not wearing heels.
Bring your Uggs, bring your flip-flops, bring your slides, bring your Vans, bring whatever you got to bring, sis.
Yes, boots with the fur. That's what I will bring the next time.
Yes, because like I'm telling you, like I said, Maddie has this video of me like transitioning from heels to those Vans. But my transition, I'm a very extra person. I'll let everybody know right now. You will learn from this, even through this podcast of stories I will tell. I'm a very extra person. So I didn't just put on my shoes and transition. Okay. No, I had a whole process. As I was putting on my shoes, I was throwing my sock in a circle because the song was like, throw that on a circle. So I was like, yeah, woo!
She's literally whipping a sock in the air right before putting on the Vans. And I took a video and I'm in the back screaming, is that a fucking sock?
There's no pause, okay? Like if you're living your best life, there's no intermission. There's no 30-second rest. You gotta do it all the way through. So that's literally what I did. I was throwing my sock in a circle.
In a hot dress, in a tiara.
Yes.
Just throwing a sock. Throwing a sock up in the air in the club. If that's not the definition of ratchet, I don't know what is.
I'm telling, like I said, you guys, though, ratchet is one of my definition words of myself. And you know what? I will do it through and through. That is how God made me, and that is how I will literally die. If I have to die eating a burrito in my hand, a $5 burrito from the gas station, that is how it will be.
Oh my God, I'm so dead.
But that was honestly like so much fun. If I could redo a day, I would redo that day.
Me
100%.
too, honestly. Me too.
Maddie's like, yes, 100%.
Just because like it was even more special that it was the last time I went out before quarantine.
Yeah. Which honestly, I'm very humbly like, wow, I'm honored. It's the last moment. Who knew that COVID would actually be as serious as it is?
I know, seriously.
And we would go in a complete shutdown. Like the world just stopped. Crazy.
I remember finding out it was like my sister's birthday and I was like, Jay Inslee just shut down restaurants. And like, my sister just started sobbing. And I was like, I'm scared. And then my dad was like, get to the grocery store now. Yeah. And it was like so intense.
Literally, I remember no toilet paper.
Yeah, and now I look back and I'm like, all that stuff was so silly.
But like that's life. Like if you think about it, like you think about your past and how silly you were because you were so inflicted by fear. Yeah. But then when you passed that bridge, when you walked past it, you're like, you now could be like, oh, I could do it 100%. You have all this confidence, and then you look back like, where was this when this was happening?
Yes,
I can see that with any area of life when it comes to guys or when it comes to my faith or when it comes to work or when it comes to school. Like I have this like inkling fear and I'm like, oh, I hate this because I know like days from now, weeks, years from now, I'm going to look back and be like, I wish I had the confidence that I had now back then. But I mean, that's all part of life and a part of growing.
Yeah.
Which I hate it, but I mean, what can I do about it?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Well, now that we've recorded about a 30-minute intro.
Yeah. So sorry about that. Maddie, I feel so bad for you. How are you going to edit this?
No, it's fine. We'll just
edit a 2-hour podcast.
No, I was here for it. I knew that was going to happen.
Yes.
I mean, it's bound to happen.
It's bound to happen.
Now I'm going to ask you.
Yes.
I told Jackie this already, that I wanted you to share your life story with us.
Yes.
So how about you share that, because I think that it's interesting and you're very unique.
Oh, thank you.
So,
she says unique. Very much so.
Unique.
Complex when it comes to the word unique and Jacqueline Kingeth. Well, hi, you guys. I'm Jacqueline Bida Beatrice Kingeth Mina.
Wow.
Yeah.
So beautiful.
Oh, thank you. I was
love it.
born in Kenya, or specifically Mombasa, Kenya, February 10th, 1996. Me over here. And my social security is...
No. Not here. Not now.
But yes, I was born there, and my whole lineage, the whole bloodline is Kenyan. Now, I haven't taken ancestry DNA test about like other bloodlines I had, but that's all I know right now. Backstory is that my dad came here to the United States in 1976. And so he's been here for 50 years. He went back to find a wife. This was back in the day. The cultures and traditions of being African is that if you're not married by a certain age, you kind of look kind of sus in a way. Like, why aren't you settling down? Da 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 da. So he went back.
I love how you put it that way. You look sus.
Because I don't know how else. Yeah, it's such a like. At least we've, evolved from that moment, but from that time. But that's how it was back then. And so my dad went back to Kenya, and he found my mom, who was close linked to my dad's family already through a lot of years. And she was actually been best friends with my aunt on my dad's side for almost 40 years now. And so he kind of met her through there. What's kind of weird, a backstory, they met when they were kids, but what's kind of weird is that my parents are 7 years apart. And when my mom was probably like 8, my dad was already in high school, so that's when they met. But anyways, yeah, it's weird.
Sus.
Sus. So
just kidding. It all worked out.
It all worked out because I'm here now.
It doesn't matter when you're past a certain age. Age is just a number later on.
Exactly, because now we look at it, it's all good. But back then, I always tell my parents, like, that is so gross. Like, what?
Like, ew.
But then my parents always remind, we met when we were in our late 30s, like mid 40s. I was like, okay, fine. But anyways, he went back to Kenya, and he met her again and was like, oh my gosh, this is the most beautiful woman, da 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 da. And eventually they got married and had me. But the problem was my dad's home residence, his life was already in the States, and my mom's life and all of that was in Kenya. So when they got married, sadly, unfortunately, because of certain circumstances, my mom raised me as a single mom, like quote unquote of single mom. She wasn't, because she was married to my dad. The only reason because my dad had his life in America. So it came to a certain point in their marriage where they're like, okay, we have to find a solidified home to raise our daughter. We can't do back and forth. We can't and we're also married. It's not like
that's crazy.
Yeah.
How long did they do long distance?
3 years.
Wow.
Marriage. Now, I'm not gonna put it out on my dad. My dad did come and like visit, and he was there for most of my life, even younger years. But it was like my mom who solely raised me in my household. And so for 3 years, and then, like I said, they came to a turning point, and they're like, okay, we need to find like a base, and where that base is gonna be. And I think both of them always knew it was gonna be the States. My mom, who is so ingrained in faith, and she's the reason why I have this perspective on Christianity where it's not bad. Like, I've had church hurt and whatever, but like, she keeps me grounded in God and Jesus and everything because of just how she lives her life. And she's not judgmental at all. She still lives free. She twerks. She does all of this. But anyways, you know, there was a vision that came upon her in her heart that she was always meant to be in the States. And so did my dad at a very early age. So they came to a point and they're like, you know what, the States it is. We're going to join my dad. And so that's what happened when I turned 3 years old. And I don't know why specifically 3, you know what I mean? Maybe it was just like, oh, this is the right time, or I don't know. But when I was 3 years old, they decided, okay, me and my mom decided to move to the States and join my dad. And, you know, the rest is history.
Were you guys in Washington?
So
okay,
I've been here since I was 3. You know, part of me is like, y'all could have chose any other state.
You literally had square one, fresh start anywhere. And y'all chose Renton.
Renton, shout out to Renton, made me who I am, the South Side, you know what it is. Me trying to act all gangster, but you know what it is. I am so far from that. But yeah, they chose Renton, Washington. But anyways, yeah, and I was like, out of all those states, you decide, let's plant ourselves in Washington. But I say that like very sincere, but at the same time, honestly, it made me who I am. I have the family and friends that I have because of the environment that I grew up in. And so, you know, I can't really say like how life would be like if I was in California or, God forbid, Florida.
God forbid. But my roommate's in the room and she's from Florida.
No, honestly, I love Celeste. I love you, Celeste. But as a black woman, as a black woman, I can't say too much about Florida right now. That'll be for the next episode, so watch out. But anyways, so we came here to Washington and have been here ever since. And that's kind of a little bit of my story. And then went to high school here. But a little fun fact, I'm going to say it here exclusively for the Close Friends podcast. Not a lot of people know that I actually went to school in Utah. I know.
What? What? You never told me this.
I know.
You went to Mormon land, Utah?
Yes.
Oh my God.
So actually,
what was that like?
So I was at a time in my life growing up where I wasn't very serious with school, but like, because I was so ingrained, like, you have to go to school. That's how you succeed. And even today, I still believe in the value of education, and that's what I want for myself. But I've learned now I don't think I want to do the whole bachelor's, whatever. But back then, that was my mindset. And also because of other circumstances in my household, I just wanted to leave. I just wanted to go be free, like, because I just felt so caged in my own house. And because of my grades, like I said before, I wasn't so serious with school. I didn't have the grades to get into certain universities. So I remember I Googled schools that I could get in with bad grades. That was literally exactly word verbatim what I typed in Google, and I saw the school called Weber State, and I went to Utah, and I did that for 2 years. But because of, you know, certain circumstances, and I'll say this because of my mental health, I do have ADHD, as well as I was diagnosed with depression, and as well as other things that led to me being diagnosed with depression, and also my immaturity. If you mix all of that in, that's trouble. And so I went to college not really focused on getting a degree, I was just focused on just leaving. And even though I knew all about Utah and Mormons and whatever, I just wanted to leave. I wanted to escape. I wanted to be free. And I did that. You know, everybody has a party phase, and I literally squeezed out every drip drop of party phase you could ever have. Yes. And so I did that. And then it came to a point where my mom realized that a lot of things that I was doing, and she was just like, she didn't take me out because of the things I was doing. She took me out because of the intentions behind what I was doing. She knew I was not okay. And which I could look back and say mentally, I was 100% not okay. I was doing things not to have fun, but I'm going to be real and deep here right now, but because subconsciously I wanted to end my life.
Wow.
And, I look back and say, like, partying is fine, but, like, I just had wrong intentions of it. Like, I was just,
you wanted to numb yourself from the life you were living.
100%. And
from reality, which a lot of people do that.
Exactly. And I think mixed in with, me just being immature, me being so young, I came from being raised so closed-minded and so, like, just coddled and everything. I didn't know what the world looked like, you know what I mean? All I knew was what my world looked like from what my parents were filtering out. And so when I went out into the world, I was just so shocked in every single way. Like, my friends were talking about sex and all of these things, and I'm coming from a very conservative Christian home where I'm like, I don't know what what is all of this.
Yes.
And so my friends are like always making fun of me, and they're always like, how do you not know anything about, because I was like, that's just not how I was raised, you know what I mean?
I have a very similar experience with that, like getting into the world and being shocked.
Exactly. And so, like, with all of that combination, it was just toxic, basically. It was really, really toxic. And I wish, everybody always says, if I knew then what I know now, I would do things differently. But it happened. It is what it is. At the same time, it's just like I still even am dealing with this today, that I wish that I had the mindset that I had right now back then. But yeah, so I went to Weber and then I came back, and I've been here ever since, just trying to figure out what is best for me, because all my life I've always been told what to do with my life, because I was always so invested in clubs and karate and swim and church and all of these other, so they're always telling me what I need to be, the type of person I need to be to succeed in these roles and these areas that I'm in, that I completely lost myself. And I was also so invested in people, which I love people and I'm still that person today, but I was so invested that I would always, like, my people pleasing personality really, like, developed and also burned me a lot. And so, now I'm at in a point in my life where I could speak for myself. I know who I am. I know my limits. I know this. And I know that comes with age. Thank God it does. But, I look back on that person who I was at 18, 19, 20, and sometimes I want to slap her. But just give her a big slap. But, like, sometimes I just want to, like, hold her and just, like, cry with her and hug her and tell her, like, everything is gonna be okay. Like, you're gonna get through this. You're gonna be a better person. You're gonna be stronger. You're gonna be, people are gonna love you for you. And I know you're feeling that they're loving you for you right now, but it's gonna be so different when you're older. You know what I mean? I'm glad I went through it. I'm glad that I had that experience. I'm glad that, that experience made me who I am, because honestly, if they ask me, would you want to redo it? Hell no. Hell no. But, I'm glad that I learned from it and I grew from it. And, I came back to Washington with my mom, and, I had, good jobs, bad jobs, here jobs. But, where I am right now, I could say right now, today, I even told my mom, I'm so content with life. I've never been so content with the people that I have in my life, with my job, with my school, with just, like, even my relationship with my parents, which was really rocky, which that's what I was talking about, the circumstances of why I want to leave. Like, it's so good right now. And I'm just, even though I take L's here and there, but, and also, like, there are bad days and good days, whatever. But I look back and I'm like, wow. Like, if I could feel this content for the rest of my life, like, I am truly blessed. And I'm so excited to see what the future years have for me. Because, like, honestly, it couldn't be better than this.
So I wanted to have Jaqui on. A huge part of why I wanted to have her on was because I have wanted to talk about the issues of like race and what's going on in our country.
Yeah.
Obviously over quarantine in the summer, the Black Lives Matter movement really took like a spotlight in our country, which I think is awesome.
Yeah.
And I hope that it's not just like a trend. You know, I wanted to see like real change in like our society and in people's hearts and stuff like that. So I wanted to talk about these things, but I never felt comfortable just talking about it too much on my own, because I will never forget, like, I had a friend who was like, yeah, you don't want to be like, hi, I'm a white girl, I'm going to teach you about racism because I learned from my black friends.
Don't be that
And I was like, yeah, that's not what I want to do. I don't want to be the person to educate people. Like, I'd rather point people to other podcasts, which I do. And so that's like a huge reason why, like, I wanted to have you on, because I want you to share like your experience and have these conversations. And so Jaqui is one of the people that I thought would be great to have these conversations with, because we have conversations in our personal life about these sort of things. So Jaqui, how about you take it away about like how you've been feeling about all the things that went on over this past summer and what has come to light for you, and like what are the conversations you've been having, and what have like you've been feeling and all that stuff.
Well, I first want to say thank you so much, Maddie, for having me on this podcast to talk about this. And give a shout out to Maddie, because honestly, you're one of the people who is white but is so open to learning and educating herself, but at the same time recognizes that, like, you know, I can't talk about this. I have to shift the gear to people who have actually experienced this. And I think that's the problem with our society today, is that they feel like they have the right to speak on it. But like, I, as a black woman, I don't have the right to speak for, you know, Asian women or other women of color. And you know, you have to share your own experience in that certain area of life. So I just want to first off shout out to you and thank you. But what I would say about how I've been feeling this past year with everything going on, I'm very thankful that, you know, there was a spotlight put on when it comes to Black Lives Matter that happened in 2020. I'm glad it did happen. It was inevitable. If it didn't happen this year, you know, a lot of people say like, oh, it only happened because we were all stuck in our homes and everybody was forced to look at it, which I give a lot of credit to that. But at the same time, like, this was inevitable. Like,
yeah, of course.
You know, I feel like everything has its cap. Everything has its limit. And, you know.
Everything negative always comes to the surface.
Oh, yeah.
Like, even now, right now, I feel like in our society, there's starting to be a shift as well to spotlight the hate that the Asian community has been getting, 100%. Especially from this virus and stuff. So, yeah, I definitely feel like things definitely come to the surface. And it just happened to come to the surface more in 2020 than it ever has before.
Exactly. And I feel like for a lot of black people, like a lot of black people could say this, we were not shocked by it. Like, George Floyd was just one out of a lot of victims who have died because of police brutality. And I feel like we weren't shocked because also as black people, we have our own experiences. We're not trying to, you know, take away the light from police brutality, but there are so many other areas when it comes to racism, so many different areas. And it doesn't even come to the extreme of somebody, you know, like their life being taken away, but also like the emotional side of how you're affected by it mentally and spiritually. You're just broken down. And, you know, it's so sad for one person had to die for other people to really awaken and realize the struggle that a lot of black people go through, and also this specific subject. But, you know, I think what my dad said, there will always has to be, you know, that slayed goat. His terminology is African, obviously, because he's an African. The bloodshed of a goat, of a lamb, and also he's a man of God. So you combine that, that's a lot of. But anyways, like he's always he said there's always has to be a sacrifice in everything, and you know, just how I felt about it. I didn't know how to feel about it, to be honest. Like a part of me wasn't surprised, but another one just felt so awful. But another one was frustrated how it took now for you guys, for society to realize this. I was just like, just so many different emotions, and I feel like came to the point like what can I do as a Black woman? What can I say? Da 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 da. And I had all these plans of like getting my Black friends together and, you know, talking about this, having a Zoom call, putting it on Instagram, da 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 da. And I, you know, got to a point I was just like, I had an anxiety attack over it because I just felt like there were so many emotions going through, so many. And I was just like, Mom, I have to do something. I need to do something, which I don't think I just had that. I think a lot of people had that, no matter what walk of life you're at. You just felt like, oh, now I have to do something about it. But I feel like as a Black woman, it was out of pressure because I was like, if I don't do something, what does that make me? You know what I mean? Does that make me hypocritical? Da da da. But I talked to some friends as well as my mother, and they're like, you just walking this life and you just sharing what you want to share whenever you want to share it is helping the community. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And what we've all learned, it's not for us as Black people to be forced to educate people about what it mean, like what does racism mean, what does it look like, different things, da 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 da, you know, because obviously, like, for me, I could say I don't have a PhD in racism. I don't have a PhD in African American history. I don't. But what I can't, because also I'm African, so I was raised in an African culture, which is a lot different from being Black in America. So what I can share is what I've experienced, like walking in this life as a Black woman in America, but also being Kenyan and all of this other stuff. And so, you know, I felt a lot of things as all people felt, guilt, like sorrow, you know, and all of this stuff. But at the end of the day, you know, I finally came to a point after feeling just so utterly frustrated about it all, because I'm gonna be honest here. Like, I'm one of the only Black employees, and I'm not gonna lie to you, that did affect me at a point. You know, I did have a coworker, Iris, and I shout out to you, Iris, and I loved her, and I felt so safe and secure with her because I was like, oh, another Black woman in this workplace. And we always had this conversation at work at front desk about these things. And then, but when she left, it was like, oh shoot, now I'm the only Black person. And then I felt like tokenism in a way, which for those who don't know what tokenism means, it means like you are that one person who represents the entirety of
the
that
culture.
Yeah, the culture. And also like you're used as like that diversity outlet. Like, oh, what are you talking about? We're diverse. We have Jaqui, you know. But I knew that wasn't the intention of any of you guys. And you saw me as Jaqui, and that's all. But it's hard.
But there have been workplaces that I've been a part of where I can see how that's happening. Yeah. Where it's like, oh, like I remember there was a workplace that I worked at that I was like, I don't feel like you guys give enough voice to women and women of color. And they were like, oh, we have this one person. You know, like that can happen a lot in workplaces too. And
so like for me, like I knew my workplace and I knew everybody loved me for me and you know, all of that, but it was hard because you have this like unsettling fear. I think my mom has always raised me, you don't know a person until they're put into that situation. Like my mom would always in that she would say that somebody will always say, I'm not a thief, I'm never a thief, I would never steal. But if you put them in that situation, in a very hostile situation where they need money, you know what I mean, they become that thief because they need money, you know what I mean, to survive. And those true colors will show. And so I still, even though I knew you guys and I loved you, I still had this unsettling fear, just like I'm different, like and I didn't know how to handle that. And I think with everything going on in 2020, that amplified everything, that put such a harsh light on everything and made everything that I've always felt but never really like brushed it off, because I was just like, oh no, it's not like that. It intensified to a point where I couldn't even brush it off anymore, to a point where I had to, take a little hiatus, a little break to recoup myself and to remind myself of who I am, the person that I am, and ground that in myself so that no matter what area I walk into, nothing and nobody can strip away my identity that I've validated in myself. Which I needed a break to do that, because I already had that. But I think when people are put into certain situations, sometimes you have to like, take a breather.
Yeah.
And come back out and do what you need to do. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so, yeah, that's how I feel about the whole 2020, Black Lives Matter in 2020. But the sad part is, like, people think Black Lives Matter started in 2020, but this thing started a long time ago. Officially, Black Lives Matter started, like, I mean, people will come after me for this, but probably like 2010, 2011 with Tamir Rice. And so the thing is, for those to say like Black Lives Matter started in like 2020, I'm like, no. First of all, it's always been around. If you want to take it real back, you could take it to slavery. But if you're taking it to that organization and that movement specifically, this happened like more like 10 years ago. Yeah. So I'm glad that people are recognizing but it's just like, as a Black person, you just get tired and you throw your hands and you're like, and I'm very thankful. I'm a person of faith to an extent where it's just like, I just have faith in God that he will take care of everything. I will do what I need to do, but the rest, I'm not going to put that pressure on me anymore.
Yeah, and you shouldn't. Well, I just wanted to say, like, thank you for sharing that, first of all, because I know that can be like a vulnerable thing to share. And also, I just wanted to talk about, like, what do you think that has been helpful for you from allies, like friends like myself or other people in your life that aren't Black, like even like Nima or Jamie. I could just like list some of your other friends. I don't know, but
shout out to y'all.
Yeah, like just for other friends. Like, what do you think that people who are friends of people of color, like how can they handle these kinds of situations? And like, what do you think is best as far as like us like supporting you and supporting people of the Black community?
I think it's just very, and I'm just gonna put this out there right now for everyone who's listening. I'm sharing this from my experience and my opinion. Every Black person has their own opinions, their own experience, and their own story.
Yes, so, I was gonna say that too, because I have a friend. I remember, I think it was you posted one day during all of like what was going on social media. I felt like it was on the forefront of social media. It was like all day, every day was just about Black Lives Matter. And I feel like I saw a post one day where you were saying like, I'm so thankful for everybody who's reached out to me. I had another friend who's African American who was like, please stop reaching out to me. Like, she was just like, she's more of like an introverted person. She was like, I feel exhausted with everybody texting me. I don't have the energy to text you guys back. So she was like, just please, like, for the time being, like, leave me alone. And I just think that it's smart to like know your individual friends. Like, this is like
100%.
This is not just like I think some people that I've talked to who are white are like, it's so hard that all like Black people have different opinions. I'm like, duh,
we're made different. We're all human. We're made different.
And I just think that people need to like recognize that you're not speaking on behalf of everybody. Not everybody's gonna feel the way that you feel, and not everybody's gonna feel the way that other people feel. And so it's just smart to like go about it by like being a good friend to that person, asking them, what does it look like for me to be a good friend to you during this time? So I think that this is a great question for our listeners to take to their friends who are people of color, of like, how can I support you specifically? But I just want to know from like your perspective, like what does that look like for you, and what has been helpful for you, and from conversations that you've had with other people in your life that are also Black, like what do you think is helpful, and what can we do to help during this time?
Let's repeat again so all your listeners know your person. I feel like this year has really made it really crucial for you to understand and know who your people are. You know what I mean? Like, who are your real friends? Do they really know you? Because my real friends knew that I needed those texts. And not a lot of Black people needed those texts. It was too overwhelming, but I needed that. That was just for me. I needed you to recognize that right now I'm hurting. Right now I don't know what's happening. I'm confused, but I needed that validation for myself. And people could be like, why did you need that, sister? You don't need that, girl. But that was just me. I needed people to text me. I'm not gonna lie, the people who didn't text me, I was low-key beefing with. I was just like, wow, you didn't text me? What kind of friend are you? And not to be spiteful, it's just like those are my needs at the time.
Yeah.
And so what I would say for myself, like what people could do for me or as allies is just, first of all, like I said again, and I will always repeat this, know your person, know your black person, know your friend, know their needs, what they need at the time, know how to communicate to them. Because I think I tell this to some of my younger friends, and y'all know who I like to mentor them, be their big sis. But I always tell them communication is key with anything. Yeah. And we always like to emphasize this in relationships with, a romantic relationship and partnership. But no, this communication is very vital also for friendships and workplace and all of this other stuff. You need to learn how the verbiage, the way you're saying it, the vocabulary, because when I took a communications class, which I'm glad I did, because I started to also learn there are certain vocab, like the words I know and we both know, we have different definitions of. So if I say a word, you're going to take it differently than how I feel like I'm going to take it. So I think first, know your person. Second, know how to communicate to your person. And third of all, shout out to the podcast that you were telling me about, Van Lathan and Rachel Lindsay.
Yeah, Higher Learning.
Yes, Higher Learning. They said something so vital. It's not about right or wrong. It's about good or bad. And I think what I took from it is that it's not, because we all have our different definitions of what's right and what's wrong. Like I could say this is right, and this is wrong. You could say no, this is wrong and this is right. But at the end of the day is having empathy for each other. The biggest thing my mom has ever taught me is, which I will take to my grave, to my grandchildren, great, to my own children, is that seek to understand and not to be understood, which basically it's the underline of just having empathy. You see that I'm in pain. Don't try to justify it or redefine it or to your narrative to benefit you. Try to listen, even if you don't even understand it or you don't agree with it. Try to be empathetic and feel me, see me. Don't dehumanize me. See me and my pain. That at the end of the day, no matter what I say, you hurt me. Don't apologize because you feel like it's what you need to do or what you have to do, or because you're in this public spotlight and that's something, or people put pressure on you, so now you have to do it. Do it because you felt my pain. You decided, I'm going to walk in her shoes. Wow, this actually freaking sucks. I hate it. I'm sorry for putting you through that. And I think that basically is like, I wouldn't say it's like the answer to it all, because obviously I'm only Jackie. I'm only a human being. But I could say that can really push us so far. And I think what is dividing us right now, I could say, in our country is because people are so prideful. Yeah. They're so prideful in what they want and their needs and putting them first, which is good. You have to put yourself first to help you, but they're taking it into a different narrative. You know what I mean? Yeah. And they're not even realizing, like, oh, you're hurting people. Like, people are being like distraught, mentally not right, like spiritually ill because of the words and the actions that you're saying. You know what I mean? And instead of manning up, womaning up and saying, I was wrong, not even forget that I was wrong. I don't want to hear that you were wrong. I just want you to recognize that you hurt me. Bottom line. I don't care who's right, who's wrong. You hurt me. And that's all I need you to see. And then after that, then we'll figure everyththing else will fall into place. But if you could just recognize that I'm hurt and that you hurt me, and you could apologize for that, and then we can move on from it. And I think that's what the world needs. That's what I would say as a Black woman I need you to recognize my pain. Yeah. Bottom line. Yeah, that's great. Yeah. And especially, like, I love what you said about, like, empathy. Like, people need more empathy, and they need to, like, I feel like being able to, like,
recognize someone's pain, like you're saying, like see someone's pain is so lost right now. Like people just 100%. Don't even give a fuck is what it feels like a lot of the times.
Yes.
And I feel like that is definitely like a key to like becoming a better person and like becoming better and all that stuff. That's all the time that we have for today's episode, but wait to tune in until next week where Jackie and I continue this conversation about race and some more fun things at the end. So can't wait for you guys to hear part 2 of my conversation with Miss Jaqui. Or not. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode of the Close Friends List podcast. These episodes go live every single Friday on all podcasting platforms and YouTube. You can follow at the Close Friends List on Instagram, email theclosefriendslist@gmail.com, or join our Facebook group, Close Friends One Mic, that can be found through the link in our Instagram bio. Thank you so much for listening. I love you all, and I'll see you next Friday.